Hello everybody, Angel Arts here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Analyze Dragon Age Inquisition characters. In this episode, we will be dissecting the Lady of Iron herself, Vivienne. According to her profile, referred to as Madame de Fer, again, the Lady of Iron, Vivienne lives up to her title, a leader among the mages and official enchanter to the imperial court. She is renowned as a fearsome woman who achieved her position through guile and deft political maneuvering. Vivienne allows nothing to stand in the way of what she desires, not those who claim she is a social climber, not those who seek to restrict her power, not even her fellow mages who would conscript her into a rebellion with which she disagrees. Vivienne fights to restore order in a world gone mad, so long as that leaves her among those left standing, once all is said and done. Vivienne was going to be the next first enchanter of her circle of magi in Orlais. But then the Mage Rebellion happened, and so her role ended up essentially transforming, much to her chagrin, into essentially a glorified court jester. In other words, someone to do magic tricks on command. But to her credit, she was able to transform this role into essentially an advisor to Empress Celine herself. If there was one word to describe Vivienne, it would be ambitious. She will do anything and everything in her power to get what she wants, really. I mean, and it's not necessarily in a bad way, per se. She knows how to strategically play the cards that she has in order to make her way through the game. As many of you know, there is a social system built into Orlais that is known as the game, which is a giant social... It's a giant social labyrinth that you're trying to navigate through in order to continually climb social status and therefore gain power. And everyone virtually is involved in the game, no matter how high or low of a status that you are. And sometimes in order to climb said status ladder, you have to put some people down or knock people off accordingly. And Vivienne is very skilled through her eloquence, through her social prowess. She's very skilled at this. She carries herself in such a way that you know that you don't want to mess with this woman. She is a woman that pretty much demands respect and, to some degree, fear, if you deserve it, if it's necessary. The way that Orlesians insult people is one of the most breathtaking and intriguing things in the world, because Orlesian insults can be so intricately woven, and they're delivered in such a way that lesser beings, lesser-minded people, would not even be able to tell that they were being insulted. It would just go right over their head because of how well laced and woven each intricate word of the insult is. There's a really great example of this in Vivienne's character profile at the very bottom of the interview, but more so than that, the voice actor of Vivienne, Indira Varma, there is an amazing video of her basically channeling Vivienne and coming up with an insult an insult for a fake Twitter war with Vivienne's writer Mary Kirby, which I think I think really shows the kind of way and the kind of things that Vivienne dishes out, which I'm absolutely going to love, I'm sure, when I'm playing Inquisition. That's one of the things that I'm going to be most looking forward to with her character. One thing about her personality that we have to keep in mind is that Vivienne takes herself, I mean, she takes herself very seriously, and she carries herself in such a way, like I said, that she demands respect. And that can definitely pose some really interesting situations chemistry-wise with some of the other misfit characters in our merry band of party members. Um, I am going to absolutely love seeing how she reacts to people that she might have less respect for, and if she is going to, how she is going to dish out people who cross her. Maybe not necessarily in a purely malicious way, but in a way that crosses her in a way that just drives her nuts, gets under her skin, gets in her nerves, which I can imagine doesn't take that much, especially with certain of the characters in our party. One of my favorite things that Mary Kirby, her writer, said is about how Vivienne gets involved into the Inquisition, and I apologize if this is kind of spoilery, but it's in her profile. She says, Vivienne is not the sort of person who would sit back and watch while the world crashed down around her. The Inquisition is the only group even trying to stand against the chaos. So, she resorts to the only logical course of action for a courtier. She throws a party for them! I'm going to be very excited for that, because I thought it would be so cool if we were going to some sort of Orlesian banquet and we got all dressed up and, you know, and this is probably too early in the game for this to happen, but I was thinking if you had a romance, then maybe you could ask that romance as your date to this ball, to this party. I would love something like that. Honestly, when I saw the ball in the Inquisition trailer, I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I hope that I can do that I hope I can go on a date. I would love to go on a date with my romantic interest. But if that is what is going to be required to recruit Vivienne, it's probably going to happen a little bit earlier than that, in which case your romances might not have blossomed enough, or even you may not have met the person that you're going to romance yet at that point. But we'll see. Other fun facts, according to David Gator, Vivienne is her fashion touchstone is Maleficent, which I definitely see if you look at her model. I mean, yeah, definitely see Maleficent in there. She's also of Ravani heritage, but was born in the Free Marches. Vivienne is straight-laced, very pro-circle, in the same way that Blackwall is very pro-Grey Warden. She is a connoisseur in fashion, placing beauty above function, caring more about her outward appearance than protection. I'm really surprised that Vivienne is not going to be a romance in Dragon Age Inquisition, but given her position, given her personality, she probably doesn't have time to meddle in, affairs of love.
Ain't nobody got time for that!
So I guess it makes sense why she would not become a romance for an Inquisitor. She is described as the ambition. Mary Kirby continues to say that she is allergic to Ferelden fashions, arranges to receive only approved gifts on Wintersend, and favors gold-encrusted boots made from rare animals, and possibly the skins of one or two of our political rivals. Wow. When asked to compare Vivienne to food, Mary Kirby described her as ortolan bunting, which I'm actually quite familiar with. This is an extremely controversial but notorious French dish. It's a delicacy, so it's a small bird. I don't even think there really is much meat into this dish, which is the crazy part in my opinion, considering what has to be done in order to prepare this dish. The bird is a delicacy in France. The bird is caught alive and then blinded or put in a darkened cage. And in the cage, the birds are force-fed until they get very fat and are drowned in a snifter of Armagnac, after which they are roasted for 8 minutes. That's an awful thing for a bird. How traumatic is that for a bird to experience their last days of their life, blinded or just forced in a dark cage, force-fed till they're fat and drowned? What? Oh, those Orlesians. They're so eccentric in so many things, including their cuisines. Vivienne appears to have a hidden agenda, so one must wonder if she's going to pull a Morrigan on us at the end of this game. I don't know. Uh, I'm curious to find out if we find out something about Vivienne near the end and find out exactly what hidden agendas, if any, if there are any, happen to be. So, thank you very much for watching this episode of Let's Analyze Characters for Dragon Age Inquisition. Tune in next time, and until then, everybody, love yourselves and love each other.